Good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. A key wide receiver is rolled out for the Chiefs versus Bills Week 11, and we're going to talk about it.
But first, let's take a look at our sponsor of today's episode, BetUS. We're powered by BetUS today. Right now, if you use code YouTube150, you get a 150% deposit match bonus on your first deposit. And then on your next two, you're going to get 125% deposit match bonuses. These are up to $2,000, so take advantage of all those free plays you can with the deposit matches. The site's easy to use. There's plenty of props on there. Go to betus.com, use the promo code YouTube150, let them know All Chiefed Up sent you. Steve, a key wide receiver has been rolled out for Chiefs versus Bills. And I know that people's going to rage because this became a thing. I accidentally made it look like Juju was rolled out, and I did not mean to do that. So don't come at me with clickbait. This is a classic case of Mike usually does titles, Steve usually does thumbnails, and today it just got wild. But there has been a key wide receiver rolled out. And here it is. James Palmer says, as the Bills try to end the Chiefs' undefeated season, they'll have to do it without wide receiver Keon Coleman, which was the Bills' first wide receiver pick. They actually did it in the second round, who has already been ruled out, Steve. So Keon Coleman has been ruled out. You were a big Keon Coleman guy in the draft coming out of Florida State, Steve. Do you think this is a big thing for the Bills here, or do you think this is something they're just going to plug and play and move on? I mean, they've got a lot of weapons out there.
They'll plug and play and move on. I love Keon Coleman. I thought he was great coming out of college. He's not some world beater, though. He's not going to take over a game or anything like that. The guy's not very fast. Don't get a lot of separation, but he is pretty sure-handed and can be fast at playing speed. But Buffalo's got other guys. They'll probably be looking to Khalil Shakur and stuff like that. I think that Buffalo, no matter what's going on, is going to come at the Kansas City Chiefs like a freaking spider monkey, okay? Because they're tired of losing to the Chiefs when it counts. And so they're going to play like it's a Super Bowl. You already know this.
Yeah, you know they're going to come out and play the best game they've ever played in their life. That's just the way they do it. But their other wide receivers, man, they've already traded for Amari Cooper. I mean, come on. You lose Keon Coleman, but you replace him with Amari Cooper weeks ago. You got KJ Hamler. They've got Mac Hollins. They already went out and grabbed Curtis Samuel all the way back in the offseason. Curtis Samuel was a guy we liked, okay? We thought Hollywood was the better fit. Lo and behold, we didn't even get to see how Hollywood was going to fit at all. So that kind of sucks. You already mentioned Khalil Shakir. They got Tyrell Shavers. They've got Jalen Virgil. They've got a few guys. But then if you look at the tight end room, you've got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. I don't know what the health on those guys are. The last time I heard, one or two of their tight ends, maybe both, was banged up a little bit. But I haven't heard anything beyond the Keon Coleman thing. So I think the Bills are going to be pretty much healthy. They're definitely not going to be as depleted as some of these teams we've been playing in the past. Right. And so I believe the Chiefs now have to get our health fixed and going forward because we know what the Bills are going to bring. And so that leads us to Juju Smith-Schuster, Steve. Our boy Charles Goldman, A to Z Sports, and even Andy Reid yesterday, he said that Pacheco, he said that on Minihue, and he said that Juju Smith-Schuster were this close to being able to return. And he said that probably Juju's a little quicker, okay? So with all that being said yesterday, Juju's probably going to practice today. It's probably going to be a limited participation, but if not today, tomorrow. Juju is getting back this week, limited participation, and if nothing goes wrong, he should be on the field versus Buffalo.
Right, that's kind of what we expected. Initially, it was just like a touch-and-go thing. They had him limited with a hamstring, and then he tried to play in a game a couple weeks ago and got hurt early on. I think they've just been being kind of cautious with old man Juju at this point. And I think we kind of thought he'd be back for the Buffalo game. And what better game to have him back, you know?
You say, oh man, Juju, dude's 27.
I know, but it doesn't feel like he's 35.
It feels like he's been in the league since like the beginning of time. It seems like he played opposite Jerry Rice with the 49ers back in the 80s.
Right. Well, we talked about this yesterday, but the Chiefs are going to have to play a lot better than they did last week against Buffalo in Orchard Park to come out with a W there. And it would be nice to have Juju back just to have that extra firepower on offense. I mean, that's going to help spread the field out a little bit. You already have D-Hop and Travis Kelce who are taking double teams away from each other at times and making it a little more difficult with the defense. But also Xavier Worthy is still managing to get open. Patrick Mahomes hasn't really hit him that often, but it's still a possibility. And then you get Juju in there moving the sticks and stuff as well, man. I think it's just nice to have that little addition back because any kind of depth is good at this point.
Yeah, like everybody's coming out. If you've been on X, I mean, there is a lot of Chiefs Kingdom. There's a few guys that write articles, a few guys that are like, beat reporters, this and that. It's the time of the year, where as soon as the game's over, they release the All-22 and everybody breaks down All-22 film, right? So if you've been on X, you've seen all of that. But I found an interesting one today, and it was done by Nick Jacobs, and I want to bring it up I'm not going to show the video because I don't want to get demonetized, but here's what I'll do. I'll bring up the video just really, really quickly for you guys.
I don't want to play it, but I'm going to play it.
Well, it's going to show the tweet too, which is kind of the main point here. But Nick Jacobs come out and he was assessing the missed pass to Worthy up the sideline. And you mentioned Xavier Worthy, okay? He said the Mahomes to Worthy missed deep pass. Worthy did a better job climbing back on top of the route and not drifting like last week. Part of me wonders if the wind factored in from that corner and may have helped that ball sail over the top of Worthy. So I'm not going to play the clip, but watch this. When I get to right here, watch the goalpost. Do you see the goalpost right there?
Yeah.
Watch the wind kick up right as we get ready to snap the ball. Look at the wind. It goes straight to the out-of-bound marker. Look at that, how much that's ripping right there.
Were we being mean to Mahomes for no reason?
Look, out of nowhere, that wind just ripped. You could see that goalpost, Steve.
Hey.
And so that's the beauty.
That's been altered. That's
Steve,
altered footage.
Listen, that's the beauty of going back and watching all 22. And this is what we try to tell people. What you see with your eyes on the first time, watching on a TV broadcast, you don't get the full game perspective. You have to go back and dig into deep stuff. And props to Nick Jacobs for being able to find that right there. Because honestly, if nobody goes back and reviews that, it just looks like Patrick Mahomes just misses that throw.
I think Patrick Mahomes hired a video editor. I think he hired a video editor. I don't think that was real.
Does Bobby Stroop know how to edit video? In all seriousness, though, I do believe there was something to that. Now, I'm not going to bring up all these plays and analyze them. It's just it's a redundant thing, and it's not necessary. But I did go back and look at all the Mahomes misses. Some of the ones, like the time he sailed a ball over Xavier Worthy in the end zone for 6. He sailed a ball over Travis Kelce in the end zone. He was dancing too much in the pocket. He was feeling the pressure from the left tackle position, Steve. It was obvious, and he was not getting his feet set. He was very, very not set. When he was throwing, there was no base. It was all arm, all upper body. It looked bad. That's why he was selling passes all day. And this brings us to what every single person just keeps asking in the chat. And let's just get to it. John Johnson from Facebook, shout out John Johnson. He said, lost audio. He said, is Donovan Smith a possible signing? And then you got Brandon Shannon says, do you guys think they're going to get Donovan Smith? Left tackle has been noticeably bad. A lot of people, this is the big conversation coming out of Chiefs Kingdom, Steve. Do you think left tackle is going to get addressed outside of what we have?
We'll talk about it in a second, but just want to take a quick second to say I appreciate you guys being here today. Please hit the like button for us. Get this out to more people. Also, if you're new to the channel, stick around a little while. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. Hang out with us more often. But yeah, Mike, do I think they're going to address the left tackle position? I really don't at this point. Like, I feel like it's kind of gone on this long. We're over halfway through the season. I think we've seen that it's an issue. And we've seen it all year long. I mean, they did the little dance at first, started with Kingsley, went to Wanye. Wanye can't stay healthy. You see Kingsley for a minute, then Wanye's back in there. But Andy Reid, he's adamant that they're continuing to get better. And that's pretty much what he says about it altogether. We've talked about David Bakhtiari. We just don't think he's in football shape or he's going to play. Something's going on there. No one wants him for whatever reason. Don't think that's a thing. Everybody keeps bringing up Donovan Smith. And this one's a head scratcher to me because I thought Donovan Smith was below par last year. Like, he was not up to par. He was not good. He allowed a lot of pressures last year. Why get a guy that's literally he's on his couch. He's retired. Like, he's not, why bring him back in here to do the same thing Wanye Morris is doing? It makes no sense to me. I don't think Donovan Smith is a viable thing here. Now, like you said yesterday, I could say that. Brett Veach could be on the phone with him right now. Be like, hey, get your old ass to Kansas City. We're gonna watch you miss blocks instead of Wanye. But I mean, that's the thing. I think Wanye and Kingsley both need more time in the game. They need to take these bad games. Like, honestly, to me, Kingsley more than Wanye. I think Kingsley's got a higher ceiling than Wanye. But they need to take these games. They need to take their lumps. They need to get their ass beat. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. And I do think that Kingsley has the skill set to be a really good tackle in this league, so I would like to see him get more snaps.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I believe Kingsley. I believe he got pulled too quickly, and I believe right now, you're almost starting to see an effect of what happened in Sky Moore's rookie year, where you start doing something that you're maybe not prepared to do, and you keep failing at it over and over, and then the coaches lose confidence in you, the fan base loses confidence in you, and then you just lose confidence in yourself. Now, here's the thing about Kingsley Suamataia. We all liked him for the fact that, look, we all knew we was going to need that left tackle position, right? And we knew that where we picked, there were limited options. So a lot of people were considering bringing him in to that back end of the first round. We did that early in the process, but the more and more we watched, Steve, what did we say? We said Kingsley was probably not a first-round pick, and he was probably more to a second. And a lot of people are saying even where we got him, that's a bust pick. I'm not buying that. When you start getting guys at the back end of the first round, you can't be expecting those guys to be immediate starters. You just can't do it. Second-round picks are not expected to be immediate starters. In today's world of Madden, people think that, but it's just not true. So Kingsley there is no shame in Kingsley being like, look, we threw you out there. You're not ready yet. We've got to develop this. Like, it's next year.
How do you develop them if you don't put them in?
Well, that's kind of the thing. If you're not going to bring in somebody that you can learn from, a wily veteran, like, you can't just battle with another guy that's just as green as you are. This is almost falls squarely on the coaching staff and everybody else.
It's kind of a weird thing to talk about. And, I mean, obviously you're going to trust Andy Reid, Andy Heck over what we think, right? I mean, naturally. These guys know what's up. But it's weird to me that Wanye, who has had a little bit more experience, he started some games last year when Donovan Smith was down eating Cheetos on the couch. And he wasn't that great last year. But, I mean, he wasn't bad either. I didn't think it was a step back from Donovan Smith, to be quite honest. I didn't notice a difference. Same kind of pressures and everything. But with Kingsley and Wanye, like Wanye was drafted in the third round. We kind of figured he might be a right tackle eventually.
Yeah.
What are we doing with him at left tackle? Like, if we're going to talk about the players themselves, Kingsley
the more I watch the skill set of Kingsley, he seems more like a right tackle too.
Yes,
and we've said
he's
that
a lot more athletic
times.
than Wanye. Like, that's the thing. Like, I've seen
he
people
is
in the
more
comments
athletic,
saying
Steve,
that
but it's not showing.
No, but you got to give it time. You got to let him get in there and get comfortable. I think that's the problem here. Like, Mike, we had Darian Kennard on this show like about a year ago. And he was talking about the jump from college to the NFL being massive, and it kind of hit him sideways. He didn't think it was going to be that bad. So, I mean, you got to give them some grace here.
That's SEC talent.
Right. They're not going to step in and just be an all-pro left tackle right off the bat. I mean, you got guys like Alt who come in, and he might be able to do something like that, but he was like far and away the top left tackle in the draft.
Yeah, well, Alt's killing it. When he plays, he's great.
Exactly,
but
you're only
he was one of the only, 5 to 10 players that were first-round talents.
You're only going to get one of those every couple of years in the draft. I mean, let's be honest here.
Isn't that why half of Chiefs Kingdom was like, hey, if you want to protect Patrick Mahomes, go up there and use what you got to go get a guy like that? But it didn't happen. It didn't happen, Steve. And watching all 22 film yesterday, Kingsley struggled. He struggled mightily. He gave up 7 pressures on 36 pass blocking attempts. He allowed, I think there was 1 sack, 3 or 4 hits, and 7 pressures. And I found some of the ones we were talking about. Some chip blocks. There was a time Kelsey chip blocked. It was just miscommunication. It's almost as if Kingsley did not understand what the chip block was going to do, and he overset, and the guy beats him on the inside.
That comes with experience of being on the field.
Exactly. Peyton Hendershot goes to chip, completely whiffs on Benito, throws him around. Kingsley don't set up wide enough, and he just opens his shoulders, direct path to Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot of communication problems here. It might not go to his talent level, but there's a lot of communication problems here, and Kingsley is not ready to step into that left tackle spot. If they would have allowed him to play through his woes in week 2, by now he may have tried to figure it out a little bit. But up to this point, with you trying and trying and trying, how many games could we have lost to this point? So you can't really fault Andy. You can't fault Andy Heck. They're doing what they can with the best they got.
Seriously, though, in all honesty, like, what is the difference between Wanye Morris and Kingsley at this point?
There's a big, big difference.
Is there really?
I'm going to show you. Here, there's a big difference. This is something I pulled up yesterday.
Because Wanye's getting his lunch ate too.
This is not as much as you think. Here we go. I pulled it up. So Charles Goldman had tweeted out, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid potentially adds free agent left tackle Donovan Smith. And he said, listen, that's Veach's area. I'm not going to say no. He adds that Wanye and Kingsley are getting better, Steve. You mentioned that. So I go back and I pulled it. Kingsley has played 106 pass blocking snaps this year. He's allowed 13 pressures, 3 sacks, 5 hurries, 5 hits, and the time to throw for Patrick Mahomes in the pocket has been 2.6 seconds. Donovan Smith, now I couldn't match it up 1-to-1, but through his first 2 games, he played 96 pass blocking snaps. He had 9 pressures, so that's not much different. That's only 4 pressures from Kingsley, and Kingsley has been nitpicking plays here and there and not getting settled in, correct?
Right.
Okay, but no sacks from Donovan Smith. 0 sacks compared to 3. Now, I don't know why that is. Was the blocking better with Jerick McKinnon last year? Was Patrick Mahomes being more elusive? Was he less happy feet and he was being more decisive in the pocket? You can go all day long trying to figure out why the sacks are different. Okay, but 5 hurries for Kingsley compared to 7 for Donovan Smith. Not that much different. There's actually more hurries from Donovan Smith through 10 less pass blocking snaps. 5 hits on the QB from Kingsley, 2 on Donovan Smith, and that's going to go back to the 3 sacks because obviously there's a 3 hit difference there. Time to throw with Donovan Smith, though, was 2.9 seconds. And again, that's Patrick Mahomes being more of a wizard in the pocket last year than he's looked this year because he looks a little shaky.
Can I just point out the obvious here?
Point out the obvious.
Kingsley's a rookie that's got to play a game and a half. Donovan Smith was 13 years into his career at this point.
And he was a high-profile free agent coming
That's
off
what
right
I'm
here.
saying. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know there's a fine line between letting Kingsley get in there and take his lumps and keeping Patrick Mahomes safe. You know what I'm saying? There's a fine line there you have to play with. But to me, I don't understand it because, like, I think, yeah, you could say Wanye's playing a little bit better than Kingsley at this point. He's got a little bit better, more experience. He's
Wanye's playing vastly better, Steve.
Right, but here's the thing. Like, when it really comes down to it, let's talk long term. Let's talk ceiling. I just don't think Wanye's on the same athletic level as Kingsley. A lot of people saying Kingsley's slow, this and that. That's completely not true. We know this. I think it's just a matter of getting comfortable in the offense, getting comfortable in the NFL, and then applying it. And I think most of Kingsley's problems right now are coachable. Like, there's nothing about that guy as far as strength, speed, stuff like that. It's all there. We know that. He was literally one of the top 3 athletic freaks in the entire NFL draft.
You're
we know
100% right.
So, I mean, it's one of those things. Get him in there, get him his experience, coach him up, and then if he still can't do it, then pull the plug on it. Whatever.
You're right. And I'm going to tell you, Wanye is vastly playing better this year, and it's a lot better. You're going to see how good it really is. And again, stats only tell one side of it, okay? Stats and pressures and this and that. That doesn't tell you every single thing. There's a lot of things that go into this. There really is. A lot of it can be on Mahomes. A lot of it can be on your chip help. It can be scheme. It can be how they're designing blocks and helps and things like that. But, Steve, let's look at what Wanye's done, because a lot of people said, hey, what about Wanye? Wanye threw his first 88 pass blocking snaps. Okay, so that's about as close as I could get him. 4 pressures, no sacks, 2 hurries, 2 hits, and time to throw 2.8. That is vastly, vastly better, heads and shoulders above Kingsley and heads and shoulders above Donovan Smith. Wanye Morris is not as athletically gifted as Kingsley Suamataia, but he is every bit as athletically gifted as Donovan Smith. So if you want to go to Donovan Smith because you don't like Wanye, that makes no sense. I would say Donovan Smith may be a slight upgrade if he were in football shape right this second. He's a slight upgrade mentally, but for Kingsley Suamataia, because that's the only difference here. Wanye, I think, is mentally more prepared to play in his second year than Kingsley was in his first 2 games. And that's what's caused all of this, Steve, because Wanye is playing pretty well. When Wanye didn't, I'm going to stop sharing that right there because I'm sure everybody's had enough time to see it. But
there's one thing I'll say about that.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that was not on there that I think makes a huge difference.
What?
Who were they trying to block in those first 90 or 100 snaps? That's what I would like to know, because you have to think Kingsley came in here.
Okay, I can find that really quick.
Kingsley came in fresh as a rookie, thrown into the fire, starting against Jason Owe, one of the fastest edge rushers in the league. And then the next week had to turn around and block Trey Hendrickson, one of the best pass rushers in the league. So I mean, I'm not saying they could have been blocking people the same way, but I don't know. But I'm just saying that's a little bit subjective. Like you can kind of go back and forth on that.
I prefaced it. I said that there's a lot of different factors. So look, Donovan Smith would have played against his first 2 games in Kansas City. He went up against Detroit. That was the infamous game that Travis Kelce sit out and Chris Jones held out. So he was going up against Aiden Hutchinson and the other pass rusher they had last year, which I believe was maybe James Houston. And then in week 2, he went up against Jacksonville, which was
Josh Hines Allen
and their first-round pick from a few years ago.
And this was Wanye?
This is Donovan Smith.
Gotcha.
So Donovan Smith. So I would say Donovan Smith's first 2 games were about as equal
good. Yeah.
as whatever. So now if I go to Wanye, let's go to Wanye. Wanye started in so he come in at the end of week 2, and he did pretty decent at the end of week 2, I think. Let me see what he did when he come in and replaced. So when he come in and replaced at the end of week 2, which was versus Hutch and all them, or not Hutchinson, but Hendrickson, my bad.
Oh, you're talking about this year.
Yeah, this year. So Wanye would have come in and he played 7 pass block snaps in his role when they pulled Kingsley, and he allowed on 7 pass block snaps, 0 sacks, 0 hits, 0 hurries, 0 pressures. He was a perfect 100% efficiency when he come in. In week 3, this was his first start. It was versus Atlanta. They don't have great pass rushers. That's nowhere near Hendrickson. Right. Okay. He had 2 pressures, 2 hits, no sacks, no hurries, 97.7% efficiency off 44 pass blocks. In week 4, he went up against Bosa and the Chargers. He went up Khalil Mack.
Out.
Okay, so it was Khalil Mack and it was someone else. I don't remember who the other one was. 37 pass block snaps. He allowed 2 pressures, 2 hurries, no hits, no sacks.
So that kind of
97% efficiency. Wanye Morris has head and shoulders played above
that's exactly
Kingsley.
why he's in there right now.
100%.
Absolutely.
So I think Andy and them's made the right call. But again, I think it's too early to say Kingsley's been a complete wash, and he is a wash. Now look, he might be a complete wash on his rookie season.
Anyone that calls a player 9 games into their career a bust is just an absolute
and
dumb.
maybe
I mean,
look, left tackle in this league's hard.
Yeah.
Left tackle in this league's hard. That is one of the most important, if not the most important position behind QB. That's why people will sell their souls to get one. Can we just talk about this last
week? Let's just talk about this last game against the Broncos. Mike, we pounded the freaking table for Nick Bonito in Kansas City because he flashed and reminded us of DT at times. Mm-hmm. Like just super fast, super bendy. I mean, the guy's running like a 4.40 on off the edge. This is who they were up against.
Steve, you want to know what Wanye did against Nick Bonito when he wasn't injured? He played 15 pass block snaps last week.
What happened there?
100% efficiency. No pressures, no hurries, no hits, no sacks. Wanye is vastly playing so much better than Kingsley.
So he just needs to stay healthy.
Yes, but with that knee injury, he's not gonna. So now what do? Does this make it to where like maybe you should go out and get a Donovan Smith? Like I don't like the idea of Donovan Smith playing, but if Wanye can't play and you've got just Kingsley who is clearly just not ready, doesn't maybe Donovan Smith make a little sense just for a little backup plan?
I mean, if you just want an extra body.
That's what I'm saying. But what if he teaches him a few things, too?
That's possible. I won't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not at the whole, let's bring in Donovan Smith to save the day. He's the greatest person ever. But if you want to bring in somebody to help these young guys develop, I'm all for it. Because obviously, something's happening, Steve, with some of our development. A lot of people don't like the way Connor Embry's developing wide receivers. A lot of people's not liking some of this development across the board here. And I don't know. There's something to it, maybe.
Is there, though? I mean, I really don't think so. Here's the thing. Like, as far as are these coaches developing players, like a lot of people wanted to put drops last year on Connor Embry, right? Like, oh, it's that damn wide receiver coach because they can't catch the ball. Yeah, well, he can't catch it for them. But, and they wanted to talk trash on him when the receivers were bad. But when he turned Rashee Rice into a second-round draft pick to being the top wide receiver in football this year before he got hurt, no one wants to talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Don't give Connor Embry any credit for that. Okay, so I just think that's crazy. And then as far as the offensive line goes, we all know that Andy Heck's a good offensive line coach. He's been solid.
Oh,
And
Andy Heck, I don't think you can argue that guy.
And here's the thing about it. It's like you're drafting guys that are not meant to, like you said, there's only like 1 or 2 left tackles a year that can potentially plug and play.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs don't go up to get them. They're not going to do that. They haven't done it yet. So, I mean, here's the thing. If you're drafting a guy in the 2nd round who's literally a right tackle, that you're going to try to make a left tackle in Kingsley Suamataia, the same way with Wanye Morris. You draft him in the 3rd round. He's a right tackle at Oklahoma. You're trying to make him a left tackle. I mean, I'm sorry, and this is not a good comparison because I'm not calling these 2 guys turds, but you can't polish a turd. What do you expect Andy Heck to do? Like, if you just don't have that talent or that someone that's ready to go, you just don't. It's going to take some time.
Yeah. I mean, I just want a lot of people to understand this. Rookies can struggle. And I don't think it's so much. A lot of things get questioned. So here's what we've learned. We've learned that Andy Heck and Andy Reid probably have made the right decision.
Yeah, I think
looking
so.
forward. We think that there is possibility that you could bring in a veteran probably. I really don't understand how Andy is saying that these guys are getting better. Kingsley just did not show to get better. The poor guy struggled. And I'm thinking it's just mentally because he's got all the intangibles. But then sometimes you got to look at it and be like, look, he was a little out of position in college playing left tackle. He started playing right tackle and they moved him out of necessity a few times and then he just stuck. So maybe his skill set is more to a Jawan Taylor right tackle kind of guy. And there's no shame in that. If next year you got to move him to right tackle and Wanye develops at left or you
Vice
move him
versa.
to right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, either way. I've talked about that before.
Or maybe we just draft at 1 or pick one up in free agency. And I don't know. I think there's some good positive things here. I think we're learning from this. But I think the big overwhelming majority is Chiefs Kingdom's got to quit with the bust this, bust that. Everybody sucks. Let's just chill. Everybody just needs to take a chill pill. Let Andy and the coaches develop them. And look, after 3 years, if they suck, send them out the door. You know, Sky Moore, he's there. He's there.
Right. Well, another thing,
you give them 3 years. 3 years
talking
is
about,
solid.
With Kingsley coming in the game the other day too, that also goes to inexperience and being a rookie. I mean, let's be honest here. They gave that spot to Wanye. Wanye's playing the entire game if he doesn't get hurt, right? So
Right.
does a rookie have themselves ready to go mid-game, just at the drop of a hat? And then not only that, but you're coming in cold and you're trying to block one of the fastest edge rushers in the league.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of factors.
But
that
here's
go
what I'm
into
going to
this.
say about that. He's had knee problems the whole time. They got
That's
to
what I'm
know
saying. You gotta
that
be ready
at any
to go.
second, Kingsley's got to be ready
And
to
I'm
go.
not saying he
practicing to
wasn't,
play.
but I'm just saying there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah. You're right, man. You're right. Rave Game On with the 5-bomb says, would you rather have David Bakhtiari or Donovan Smith? They could get either one for the same price. Steve, who would you like to see? And I think there's just a reason we're not seeing Bakhtiari, right?
I think so. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter. I would personally rather have David Bakhtiari. I think he's a much better left tackle than Donovan Smith, but Donovan Smith is familiar with the system. Everybody knows him. I mean, it wouldn't be that, it'd be like probably more seamless than Bakhtiari. And once again, there's got to be something going on with Bakhtiari, right? Like, why is no one trying to get this guy?
Steve, there's something with linemen too. Linemen, when they're not playing football and stuff, linemen can get out of shape pretty quick.
Yeah.
Is Donovan Smith really even in game shape at this point? Like, if you called him today, what is the feasible amount of time you think it would take him to get in
What's
game
funny
shape?
is you think about that.
Or do you think he's been in game shape just waiting for an opportunity?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and with offensive linemen, I think the crazy thing is you're saying it's easy for them not to be in game shape. So a lot of people's thinking of them like being 400 pounds, eating Cheetos and ho-hos on the couch and stuff. But really, if you really watch offensive linemen after their career's over, they lose a lot of weight. They get really tiny.
That's
and
true.
That's a totally different type of not in game shape. And I mean, I'm with you, man. I don't know about Donovan Smith, to be quite honest. I don't know where he was at mentally. Was he ready to quit football? Did he not want to play? Like what's going on? And same way with Bakhtiari. We don't really know the full story. So I think they're
Right.
kind of in the same boat there.
I think Donovan Smith actually tweeted out yesterday when all that talk was coming around. He tweeted out like a look, like it was like a
right. And then you also had
just like a little
Bakhtiari that
meme
was
or
kind of ribbing Mahomes the other day, talking about how he'd come block for him if Texas Tech lost. And
I think if the Chiefs reached out to either one, they'd both be willing to come back and try it out. I really
Yeah.
do. Now, as a preference, I don't know. I think Donovan Smith in the short term would probably be better, but Bakhtiari, if there's nothing wrong with that knee, But I feel like if there's nothing wrong with that knee, Steve, somebody would have scooped him for the price at this point. Left tackle is a premium position, man. And there's not a lot of left tackles because a lot of people were saying, well, let's go trade for one. There just ain't left tackles growing on trees out here that people's ready to get rid of, you know? Right. So, I don't know. It's been a fun conversation. Appreciate the $5 rave game on. I really do. Before we go any further, we're going to take just a quick break here, and we appreciate you guys for sticking around. Stick with us just a little bit longer. We're going to hear from our sponsor, Manta Sleep, and we'll be right back in just a few. Today's show is sponsored by Manta Sleep Mask. You got to check this out. This sleep mask is going to change your life. We all know how important sleep is for recovery, and if you want to be at your best physically and mentally, you got to get some sleep, and not just any sleep. You got to get some high-quality sleep. We weren't big believers in sleep masks. I thought they were going to be too big, too hot, too bulky, but Manta Sleep Mask changed that perception for me. These sleep masks are so comfortable. You can change the cup around your eye and find a custom fit. That way the mask finds your comfortability. With these pillows around your eyes, you feel zero pressure. And with a 100% blackout technology, you can go to sleep anytime, day or night, no matter how erratic your sleep schedule is. These masks are designed for side sleepers as well, and that is very important. There are so many options that Manta Sleep offers too. One of our favorites is the Manta Sleep Mask Sound. It comes equipped with a razor-thin Bluetooth headphone, again, optimized for side sleepers. The headphones are super easy to adjust, and it just becomes a heavenly submersive experience that blocks out the world and allows you to get some high-quality sleep. You can go with the Sound Mask, the Pro Mask, the Silk Mask, or just the Sleep Mask. You should go check out their website by clicking the link we have provided for you in the description below and read up on which option sounds best for you. But regardless of which mask you choose, use our code ACU10 at checkout and receive a 10% discount that we have secured through Manta Sleep for you, Chiefs Kingdom. We understand how tiring it is defending the back-to-back world champions. We also know there are countless non-football knowers out there talking trash to the Chiefs 24/7, and with these, you can block them out and get rested up for the coveted three-peat. Again, go to the description, find the link, find the mask you want to try out, use code ACU10, and get yourself some of the best sleep you've ever had in preparation of this long football season. Where am I? This is true blackout technology, people.
Let's go, baby. Get over there and check out Manta Sleep. Go to the description. You can get that, click that link there.
Right.
And go
Shout
grab
out Manta for sponsoring the show, man. Helps us grow, helps us stay in. We appreciate you guys for sitting through the ads and encourage you if you have this is the time for giving, Steve. Manta Sleep's a good gift.
That'd be a good gift.
And they're not really all that pricey either, man. I thought they were going to be super pricey. They're not too bad. They're like $25-$30 and you get a nice 10% discount code. So they're pretty
reasonable.
Awesome.
Very reasonable. But if you're just rolling in, good morning, Chiefs Kingdom. How we doing, baby? Good to see you. Make sure to hit that like button for us. Get this out to more people.
Good morning.
We got Juju, who should be back playing this week. He's in a limited capacity. Should be at practice today. That's the report anyway. We'll see what Andy Reid has to say later today at this presser. So that'd be nice to have him back for the Buffalo Bills game. But they're going to be missing one of their key wide receivers in Keon Coleman. And we talked about that a little bit as well. And then we went on a big, long tangent about the offensive line, which seems to be...
I like the offensive line talk today.
It's the hot spot, man. That's what everybody wants to talk about. So that's what we're going to do.
Steve, let's get to a two-bomb from our boy Steve-O in the house.
Baby.
The greatest.
The greatest.
The greatest.
Of all time.
Steve-O might be on the greatest list, you know? But we appreciate all you guys being here. There's like 500 people here watching a little KC, a little ACU in the AM, a little bit of a Good Morning KC, hey? I think we should just market it. Should we go to a local TV station here in KC and just be like, look, you need to have the ACU boys on every morning.
ACU in the AM. We could just name it Good Morning Chiefs Kingdom, ACU in the AM.
Good. That reminds me of Robin Williams. Good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it.
Or Danny Tanner. Wake up, San Francisco. I like it, man. I like it. So let's talk about something fun, man. We've been talking about, offensive line, like you said. We talked about a little wide receiver problem. We talked about maybe Mahomes having the wind help his bad passes. We're going to go ahead and blame the wind right now because we're not blaming Mahomes, baby. So let's talk about the defense. Defense is fun, Steve. You know who's been showing up, though, as a rookie? He's getting more comfortable, more snaps, and he's looking like a prime piece, a grade A still there in round 4. Jaden freaking Hicks looks like a complete lay the wood monster. He's a mix between Greg Wesley. He's a mix between Jerome Woods.
He's a little honey badger, baby.
He's a little honey badger. He's got a little everything in him.
I love him. I love him, dude.
Jaden Hicks,
fun
the
to
man.
watch. He's fun to watch. He's all over the field. He's always close to the ball. And that's why it reminds me of the honey badger, man. Like, we kind of got a taste of another player like that. I think he plays for the Bills now, so we'll see him this week. But Mike Edwards, he was kind of like that as well. Just always around the ball, man.
Steve, you help K. Wayne?
Yeah. So, hey, I'm glad you brought this up, K. Wayne. Good talk here. So we'll go to merch.allchiefedup.com. You can get all the merchandise over there. We got some nice Christmas sweaters, a Merry Chiefsmas sweater, and a hoodie over there you can go grab. The 20% off code right now is ACU Santa. ACU Santa. That's going to be good till the end of the year. So anything you want in the store, you can get 20% off right now by using that code. It's good to buy gifts for people. It's good to help support the channel. And also, if you just want to look really freaking cool for the holidays, go get one of those sweaters.
ACUSANTA.
Let's go. That's it.
Sometimes, Steve, they say, you guys have accents. We don't understand what you said. So they thought we said ACU Satan. Maybe. I don't know. Callie Cash in here with the 5 bomb, baby.
Let's go, Callie.
He said, are the days of us scoring 30 or more over, or am I a slap nut for thinking that it's over?
I think Mike's there with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's over for the long term, but for the next few weeks until we get back to full strength, I think it could be. I mean, look, you're playing some good defenses coming up. You're playing the Bills, and then I think after that, you do have the Panthers. Maybe we hit it. Steve, if we don't hit it versus the Panthers, is there a problem?
So I think that the offense has enough to score 30 plus on a consistent basis. I mean, we have the run game. Kareem Hunt's been killing it. We have the weapons now with D-Hop, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy. We got to get Mahomes a little bit more time. That's been the talking point today, right? Mahomes got to have a little bit more time in the pocket, feel a little bit more comfortable, whatever it takes. But I mean, I think we're right there, and I think it's just a matter of it clicking. You got some new pieces here and there, and it just needs to click, and Mahomes has got to get back to being Mahomes. So, I mean, I think at any time, at the drop of a hat, they could score over 30 easy. But I definitely see where you're coming from, Callie Cash, because it doesn't look that way right now. It's still kind of a little stagnant here and there. But something to remember, too, is a lot of people are getting down on the offense after this game against Denver because you're used to the donkeys, and we should beat the crap out of the donkeys and all that stuff. But we have to remember, they have the third top defense in the league right now.
Yeah, they were when we started to play them on Sunday. They were third.
They're very successful with the blitz, and they're blitzing every 3 plays. The 30-some% blitz rate. Like Vance Joseph had a good game plan. That defense is good, and they were playing well. So I mean, you have to give them some credit as well as the Chiefs just maybe not clicking like they should have been. So I don't know. I don't want to say it's over. Maybe that's just wishful thinking for me, but I think they could get back to it if everything goes right for the rest of the year.
You know, getting back to that means Mahomes finding more comfortability in the pocket, getting on track with Kelce, and that's happened. Over the last 3 weeks, Steve, Travis Kelce has more receptions than anybody in football.
That's something we talked about, too.
Get back.
Like Mahomes, get back in the groove, just play pitch and catch with Kelce, and then all of a sudden he started doing it about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe that's a good thing.
You know, the whole Xavier Worthy thing, to be honest, Mahomes has overthrew him just a few times. Like, they've just not been in sync. But there's probably been 4 or 5 plays that could have been huge touchdown plays.
More Backstreet Boys?
And they're just missing them. And look how that changes the entire statistics and everything of Xavier Worthy's rookie season, Mahomes' season. Just hitting those. And how some of those could be, like last week, we overthrew 3 that could have been in the end zone for a touchdown and 6. So we left literally 21 points almost on the board, technically. Right. So can the Chiefs get to 30? Absolutely. But the way Andy and everybody's kind of running it, they're kind of running it with ball control. We're holding the ball longer than anybody in the league. We're putting together big drives, and the defense is playing well.
Right. Absolutely. And then I want to get to this comment from Witchy. She says, I don't care how much we score as long as it's a win. And I think that's a common sentiment. But the thing about it is our defense is very good. Like, even when they're not looking great. I mean, you got to think, man, Trent McDuffie had his worst game as an NFL player the other day. Cortland Sutton literally schooled Trent McDuffie, and which is crazy. I would have never thought that was coming. But overall, our defense, even when they're not looking great, they're still holding teams to 14 points, 17 points. You rarely see teams score a whole lot on this defense. Literally, the offense just has to put up probably, what would you say? Would you say like 28 points would almost ensure a victory every game almost if this defense is playing?
The Chiefs have almost not even allowed. Let me go see how much the Chiefs have allowed this year.
They've got to be the top. They've got to be the top run defense in the league at this point.
The Chiefs have not allowed more than, let me see, going back to week 1, 20 versus the Ravens, 25 versus the Bengals, 17 on the Falcons, 10 on the Chargers, 13 on the Saints, 18 49ers, 20 Raiders, 24 Bucks, 14 Broncos. So if you can literally score over 20 points, you've got a chance to win every single game you play.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just put some points on the board.
Put little points on the board. And I think that's not too much to ask. And Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce led offense, and you're just asking for 3 touchdowns? You ain't got to get 3 touchdowns per se. 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals puts you at 23. So,
Right.
I mean, that should win almost every single game you play with this defense. This defense has been lights out. Shout out Spags. Shout out everybody. You know, somebody that don't get a lot of credit, well, he did this week because he blocked the kick. But Leo Chanel has had a great season. And he doesn't even get a lot of snaps. People are so surprised. I think it was last week or the week before. We were literally like 8 games into the season. Leo Chanel had less than almost like 100 snaps versus pass plays or versus the run. One of the two. It was really weird. Like, he was just running on like so many less snaps than the top guys.
Well, I mean, you're looking at a defense that's so versatile. Like, you're talking about just at the safety position, like you brought up Jaden Hicks earlier being an absolute monster, but you still got Shamari Connor too. But that's, you know, and then the starters, Justin Reed, Brian Cook. There's just so much you can do with more safeties on the field sometimes and linebackers, and I think that's what you're seeing. Getting a lot more speed out there and stuff. But Leo's been killing it for sure. John Johnson over on Facebook says, can McDuffie get back on his island? He struggled a little on Sunday. That's what we were just talking about. Absolutely. I have no qualms about McDuffie having a rough game the other day. Like, he was due one. This kid has been lights out since he stepped into the NFL. Cortland Sutton is a very underrated receiver, too. I think if that kid was in any other position than being in Denver for his career, he would be killing it. Like, he's a damn good receiver. And he's a big guy, which McDuffie also struggles with size. So I just think it was one of those things. It was a good game from Cortland Sutton. It was a rough day for McDuffie. I expect to see him bounce back and just be same old lockdown warden next week.
Yeah, look, he's struggled over the last well, to be honest, a lot of people do not like PFF, but they do offer coverage grades and they compare everybody on the same scale. So that's one way to look, right? It's a tool. Week 1 and week 2, McDuffie was lights out, 77.5 and a 76 coverage grade, which is some of the hardest thing to do is get good coverage grades from PFF. Since then, he's been a mid-tier 58. He shot back up to a 69 against the Chargers in week 4. And from then on, he has mightily struggled in their coverage grades. 53, 60, 62, 54, 53 in the past few weeks. 54.7, 53.2. Against Tampa Bay, he allowed 4 targets, 2 catches, 15 yards. Now, that's saying a 54.7 coverage grade, people's going to be like, how in the world do you get that? And it's because they feel like if Mayfield would have just peppered at him, you would have scored more, right? That's the way that works. Right. I don't really buy it. And here's another thing from Trent McDuffie that gets overlooked. Trent McDuffie is a hell of a run defender. There were times that Cortland Sutton was getting his big body, big frame on little Trent McDuffie, who's 5'11", 190, and he was getting his hands on him, and he was fighting through that and blowing plays up in the backfield. And shout out PFF for getting that right, because they showed that he was a 74.3 in the run the other day, which was one of the highest grades the Chiefs had. And that's what Trent McDuffie offers you. So even on a day that McDuffie gives up 5 catches on 8 targets for 67 yards and a tutty, okay, he might be a little sus in coverage there against a big wide receiver. And sometimes big wide receivers that know where the play's going is tough. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not getting good pressure on the quarterback. It's tough. Quarterbacks are paid to put the ball in the right places, and sometimes a perfectly guarded wide receiver can still make a good catch. But McDuffie went out. He tackled well. He was good on run defense, and he had a good, solid game, man. So I do not worry about Trent McDuffie, man. I like Trent McDuffie. He is a top-tier corner in this league.
Absolutely. Oh, Pop's in the house. He's at work, not working, obviously. Dropping the 10 bombs. The time to get things fixed. I mean,
My
that's
bad.
just-
I screwed up, Pops.
That's just what it is, though. It is time for them to get things fixed because, like, I know it don't seem like it, but we've literally hit over the halfway point of the entire season. So we're in the back half of the season. We got a big game against the Bills coming up that could have implications going into the playoffs. We want that 1 seed, that's for sure. So this is a game that you need to win. The Buffalo's probably right. Did you say yesterday they're the team right behind us in the AFC?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Buffalo's
so I mean,
one
this
game.
is-
I
this
think
is
they're
a
one
big
game
game.
back.
They need to win this one, and then you got a couple divisional matchups coming up with the Raiders and the Chargers, and then you got to play the Texans and the Steelers back to back within 4 days of each other. So there's a lot of big games coming up, and obviously you want to be hitting that stride, go playoff time, to where everything's clicking. So I think now this is a very, very pivotal week for the Chiefs as far as getting things together. I think we got to start seeing things click soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's close, and I think to me, it all just comes down to the more healthy we get, the more we can get back to a normal-looking game plan that the Chiefs wanted to run all offseason. You set up an entire offense, installing an offense, bringing in new players, finding ways for Mahomes to make connections with these guys, finding ways to get Pacheco the ball. Pacheco's gone. Finding ways to get Hollywood Brown the ball. He's gone. Now you've had to implement a new guy in DeAndre Hopkins 8 weeks into the season.
Right.
So many moving parts here. You had Juju come in late. He finally gets things going against the Saints. He gets injured. Now he's, hopefully back. Omenihu can't get going. 1 year he's suspended. The next year he's injured. When all these injuries come back, I think the Chiefs will, it may take a few weeks, but hopefully by playoff time, they are clicking on all cylinders. And I think that's a lot to do with injuries, man. It really is. But appreciate you, Pops. Pops got that surgery tomorrow. I got to get up early. We got to go get Pops' wrist fixed. He's traveling to downtown Lou to get that wrist fixed. Pops don't think he's ever going to be able to play golf again after the wrist injury. Pop's going to have to retire. We're going to put him in the PGA.
I'm going to wheel him out there.
The PGA Hall of Fame.
Course.
Pops, I know what I'm going to get you for Christmas now. Since you can't swing the club, I'm going to get you one of those clubs that you just hit a button and it hits the ball for you.
Bing. Yeah, that's it. I can
Yeah,
still
man.
golf. Why do you got to
Still
swing for it?
golf. And besides, with one wrist, you're probably beating me and Steve too.
Yeah. So keep old Pops in your thoughts and prayers tomorrow morning so he can get that knocked out. Get that wrist back better
Steve,
than
John
ever,
Johnson
baby.
asked, did Joshua Uche make any impact for the defense? And we talked about this the other day. Not much, but he's still learning, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of getting him in there. I mean, thank God we're not in the Cam Thomas situation where he's just not even playing.
That Cam Thomas thing has been one of the biggest
Man,
mysteries.
just weird.
Dude, that's right up there with like, how did the pyramids get built? Are aliens real? Is Cam Thomas even a human? Like, what's going on? Like, why
I don't
can't
know.
Cam Thomas contribute? We give up a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but we give up draft capital. We bring him in. Ryan Tracy was so huge on Cam Thomas, and then this guy can't even find his way on the field. And then when he plays one or two snaps, he literally is out of position on the first one and misses a tackle on the second one, never to be heard from again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole Uche thing, man, like they're going to slowly get him implemented in, get him comfortable with this defense. I mean, really all he is pin your ears back, pass rush type guy, so it shouldn't take that much to get him going. But the thing about it is, man, like you talked about, when everybody gets healthy, we get Charles Omenihu back. That guy was an absolute machine in the Spags defense when he was available. He was insanely good. So let's hope he can get right back into where he was after he gets going after his injury. But then you're looking at a lot of depth. Like we've talked about how they needed depth at the defensive end position at the beginning of the year. I think Felix is playing a little bit better than people expected him to be right now. Because with his slow start, he's still not where you would want a first-round pick to be by any means. But he is getting better. And then now you have Uche. You're going to have Cam Thomas that can be rotational. You're going to have Charles Omenihu back. George is George. So, I mean, I think we're going to be in a good spot. There's just so many different positions that are going to have a lot of depth when we just get everybody back. Like I think I saw K. Wayne talking about how can you imagine if by the playoffs you're looking at DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Hollywood Brown on the field as your wide receivers,
Right.
which is insane to think about. So, I mean, that's not even mentioning the little key pieces, the what do you call them, the role players, if you will, in Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, and those guys. So, just a lot of speed, a lot of depth at different positions. I think if we can get back healthy and get things clicking by playoff time, that could be huge to have that kind of depth.
Right. Somebody asked in the chat how the corners and everybody covered, versus Denver, like at the end of the week, what ended up happening. The number one guy with the Chiefs coverage grade was actually Drew Tranquil. He done very well in coverage. He allowed one reception for 4 yards. That was it. One reception for 4 yards. And when targeting him, he was only an 83.3. That was the QBR when targeting him. So Drew Tranquil was actually the top coverage guy for the Chiefs. He was actually rated a 77.3. Justin Reed, Steve, safety, was number 2. He had a pretty good day as well. He allowed 2 catches for 2 yards. Pretty good on Justin Reed. 79.2 QBR. Number 3 was another safety, Brian Cook. Brian Cook allowed, what did he allow? 3 catches for 19 yards. So not great there. A little bit of higher QBR, a 93 QBR. And then in number 4, out of all 14 defenders that played pass coverage, number 4, Josh Williams. Number 4, coming in at a 63.2. He allowed 0 receptions. They only targeted his way 1 time. And the QBR was the lowest on the Chiefs defense. He only allowed a 39.6 QBR to Bo Nix. And he comes in at number 4 on the week. Number 5 was Jaden Hicks. So, dude, it's one of these things where the young guys are going to continue to get young. And again, McDuffie struggled a little bit. Out of 14 players, number 14 was Joshua Uche. Like, he scored a 40, but he only played in 2 coverage snaps. And then Trent McDuffie was all the way down there rated number 11 out of 14. On a day that Trent McDuffie is your 11th best coverage defender, that's a fluke day. But that just shows you that even good players can have bad days, right? It just shows you that, and it shows you that other players will step up when it counts.
Well, it's also, like I said, you can't always just blame it on the Chiefs defense or the Chiefs player, like McDuffie in this case. I mean, sometimes you got to give credit to the person they're across from. And Cortland Sutton just had a day. I mean,
yeah, he had a good day, man. He's a good wide receiver.
He's a good player, man. He really is.
Wasn't there times that people was like, hey, can the Chiefs trade Denver for Cortland? You remember that was going around a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, and people talked about Jerry Jeudy and stuff like that. And as athletic and good as Jeudy is, he's just never worked out that well in the NFL. Probably because he went to the Broncos and now is with the Browns. But, I mean, I think that's silently been their best receiver over there this whole time is Cortland Sutton.
Right. And look, another shout out to Najee. He had a rough day covering the other day. Najee Johnson looked rough in coverage at times, but Najee got after the quarterback a few plays. He got a sack on one, and he was actually the number 2 rated pass rusher on our team the other day. 73.4 on pass rushing. He actually rushed the passer 3 times, and he generated a sack, and he had a 33% PRP pressure rate. So Najee found a way to make his impact felt. And, obviously Chris Jones, Nick Bolton were up there. I think Turk Wharton had his worst day as a Chief this year, in my opinion. He didn't do much rushing the passer. He had 23 pass rushes. He only generated 1 hurry. So his effectiveness rate was bad, and he had a 0% win percentage. I mean, that's pretty bad. That was a bad day for Turk Wharton. But again, good players have bad days. And I think the moral of the whole Denver game, and I don't I'm almost tired of talking about it. It's already Tuesday. We need to be looking forward. But from what I can learn is the guys come off a battle versus Tampa Bay, an overtime battle, sort of a short week. Denver come out and played to a really high level. They wanted to beat us. They were fired up. The Chiefs kind of felt a little tired, a little worn out, a little unmotivated, and a lot of the guys just had some bad days, but they still found a way to win.
Does this kind of show you something else? Like,
what?
Do you think that Denver, under Sean Payton and with a lot of young talent, are getting back to where they can start being competitive in the AFC West.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Raiders would have been competitive this year if you had a good quarterback. I mean, we all knew Gardner Minshew and then wasn't going to be
I know you liked Bo Nix coming out of the draft, and I think he's good enough. I think that with him and Sean Payton,
Steve, Bo Nix has played – the dude's 77, okay? He's played enough football that he knows. Like, this dude he's played everywhere. The dude's played at Auburn. The dude's played at Oregon. This guy has played everywhere. I think he had the most snaps of any college football player in history. I mean, he can play. He can play.
Well, it's like Patrick Mahomes told him after the game. This is just the first one. There's going to be a lot of them, and I think that I really do. As much as I hate it, I do think Denver's getting back to a more competitive team than they have been in the previous, 6, 7, 8 years.
Well, we were saying, and a lot of people agreed. There was not that many people in the chat that tried to argue it, but there were a few. Denver has a good defense. I hope you can see that now. There was a few people saying, Denver don't have a good defense. They haven't played nobody. Don't worry about them. You guys are overhyping it. Denver's defense is pretty good. I think we can say that.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys being here today. Please do us a favor. Hit that like button if you haven't already on your way out. Also, keep your eye out for more content. We got some shorts that just came out that are really good. I think you should go watch those if you haven't yet. And we'll probably be back tomorrow with another live stream, hopefully in the evening, like later at night.
Yeah, we're going to do a live stream late tomorrow because Pop's surgery tomorrow morning. I'll be not here in the morning, so we're going to do our normal hour live stream, Steve.
Right, which we want to continue to do, too, to catch that night crowd as well. But once again, appreciate you guys being here. Real quick, before we do step out of here for the day, I had a poll up. 126 people ended up voting, 127. It was, who would you rather have if you went and got a left tackle, Bakhtiari or Donovan Smith?
I like the poll.
Bakhtiari at 55%, Donovan Smith at 44%. So more
that's
people
a pretty
would
even
rather
split,
see
though, right?
Yeah, closer than I thought. Because I mean, to me, I'd probably rather have Bakhtiari. I'd probably picked Bakhtiari in that poll. But then again, like I said earlier, Donovan Smith's going to be a lot more seamlessly put back in than Bakhtiari would be. So that's cool. That's cool. But appreciate you guys being here. Shout out BetUS for powering this live stream. Also, shout out Man to Sleep. You can go down to the description, click those links, and show some support to the people that are showing support to this channel. And we'll appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. See you guys.
There goes a sight from my soul.